Hello, everybody. This is Movie Discussions with Jacob May, with special guest.
Henry Miller. Thank you for having me, Jacob. It's an honor.
Oh, it's great, man. So, this is the first time we've done our show, and how this is going to work is every week I have my guests just pick a movie and we discuss it for an hour, for about an hour. Start off with non-spoilers and then goes into more spoilers later. So, Henry, what movie are we discussing today?
Well, Jacob, it's a movie that I have been obsessing over lately. This past month, I watched it over the break. It's the 2017 indie film, A Ghost Story.
Yes, it's a good one.
Very good.
Yeah, I remember this coming out I think during the summer. I was gonna go see it, but I didn't end up seeing it until you recommended it to me, so now I did, and I quite liked it.
Well, I'm glad to hear you did, because I loved it when I watched it. Immediately when I heard the synopsis, I was very intrigued by the idea.
Yeah.
And it has a pretty good cast as well. Rooney Mara, Casey Affleck,
Yeah.
although he's under a bed sheet the entire time. You can definitely tell it's him for sure, though. His actions, his mannerisms, they're exactly the same. That's a lie, actually. They probably could have anyone under there.
I think I watched the commentary. I think they had different people under there.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
But, no, it was really good. The thing that intrigued me the most was the ghost design, which is just the Charlie Brown Halloween ghost design.
I really like that.
Yeah, I think it's really good for reasons I'll go into later. But I'm just going to kind of start off with a plot summary. So basically have a man and a wife, husband and a wife living together, and the husband one day dies in a car crash, and you kind of see his ghost haunting the house of where he dies and kind of looking at all the events that go on throughout time and space. It's kind of a hard plot to describe, but it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting, and one thing while you're describing that is you said just man and wife, and I like that. That's literally like the name of the characters in it, because they're never given like actual like names like Jake and Meg. Like it's even in the credits, it's just man and wife.
Yeah. So for the sake of discussion, I'm just gonna call him Casey Affleck and Rooney Mara. But
that's for the best.
And that's why I call him anyway.
Yeah.
But I like that. I've seen a few films do that, and I've always found that interesting. But yeah, do you want to go into spoilers now, or do you want to talk a little non-spoilers a little more?
I'm nipping at the bud to get into the spoilers aspect, but if you don't want any spoilers, I would highly recommend the film because it has beautiful art style for sure.
Yeah.
I love the way it's filmed and shot.
Oh,
the
definitely.
Aspect
I love
ratio.
the like rounded 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yes,
that's really cool.
Really cool. The music is incredible.
Yes.
I've been listening to the soundtrack non-stop. I just love it. It's amazing. And then even in the middle there, they have I Get Overwhelmed by the Dark Rooms. That's just I really like it. It's a good song.
Yeah, just all that, the production design, just kind of how it looks, directing. I think it's all masterful.
Definitely. And it's a very emotionally moving but meaningful movie. And I think that you can gain a lot from it.
Yes, definitely. Anyway, spoilers, so last chance to tune out before we go into that. Okay, let's go into it.
Okay.
First off, the pie scene.
The pie scene. I mean, when you're watching A Ghost Story, the one scene that's going to leave the lasting effect on you the most is the pie scene.
Yeah, for those of you who are still listening, even though you haven't seen it, there's just a scene that's comprised of 2 takes, and it's just a long 7-minute stretch of Rooney Mara eating pie.
It's just as amazing as you would think.
Yes. At first, I kind of laughed at it. I'm still laughing at it. I think it is kind of a brilliant scene. Thinking about it, just look, just kind of how her grief and her emotion all in that one scene, kind of her stress.
You can
eating.
really feel it, and each bite, you can really understand what she's kind of going through, and the frustration she feels and trying to gain some kind of satisfaction from just eating a pie, I guess.
Yeah. And something I do want to get into is this movie does kind of feel and it's shot tragically. I do feel some sense of absurdist comedy in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that pie scene, it's tragic, it's kind of showing her grief, but at the same time, it's hilarious.
Pretty funny. Yeah, it really is. And yeah, that idea of the absurdist comedy really does kind of show through, thinking about it now.
Mm-hmm. I got a lot of kind of Camus from this as like there's not much like meaning to life, but you just kind of laugh at every now and then.
Absolutely.
I mean, for people who see this and don't really believe me, just look at his costume. It's the Charlie Brown Halloween costume.
If you just look at the poster for it, I mean...
there's some sense of that being hilarious.
Yeah.
But even though kind of the tone of it is very tragic in nature, but...
There's just so many, like, naturally just funny scenes, even though they're supposed to be, like, really moving or pulling. Even, like, I kind of giggled when he was, like, throwing the plates during the dinner scene.
The poltergeist scene where he's just terrorizing the family that moved in. Just throwing everything everywhere. Like, usually that'd be a horror movie, but he's just kind of doing it out of grief. But it's still the Charlie Brown ghost costume. So
and the way he throws them is so, like, angsty. Like, I can tell.
Yeah.
Like, how upset he was. Or even, like, when Rooney Mara comes home with that other guy, and you can just see him, like, watching, and the lights start flickering. Like, you can tell how upset he is.
Yeah, and then the kind of his ghost companion in the room in the house across from him, like, those conversations, like, they're really cute and kind of fun.
They are. One thing about that is, do you know who was the other ghost who played the other ghost?
I think I know what you're going to say, and I thought it was this person. Are you going to say Kesha?
Yes.
So, that's not her. Kesha's in the party.
Really?
Party scene.
Okay.
I think that was just a random extra. It's really weird. On Wikipedia, she's credited as Spirit Girl, but that I also watched commentary, and he points her out in the party scene.
Okay. Because when I read that she was the Spirit Girl or whatever, I was like, why would Kesha want to be in a movie where she's covered up by a blanket?
Yeah. It's also kind of funny how they got her in. The director David Lowery was talking about that he just kind of wanted in this party song, like maybe, or in this party music, like a Kesha song or something. Yeah. And then Kesha just kind of showed up, and he gave her a role. I think, like, she's the one, like, watching the party trick the guy's doing, kind of at the beginning of that scene.
Yeah.
I think that's her. It might be weirdly credited, and she might also be the ghost. I'm not 100% clear, but I didn't get that sense from watching commentary.
Yeah.
But yeah. But with those scenes, I just love that it's kind of hand motions, but they have the subtitles under it.
Yeah.
Not like sign language, like really complicated, like basic like waves, and they have meaning there.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how they're shot. Like you just kind of see the other ghosts from afar.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're really cute, honestly. Like I just like the feeling that they give, and the kind of interconnectivity that these ghosts have. Mm-hmm. It's cute.
Yeah, and it did bring a little tear to my eye when she disappeared. I mean,
I really like that scene because of just how like powerful she's like. I don't think they're coming back, and then just disappears.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not sure because it's kind of about uncertainty of death. Like you don't know really what happens to them. Mm-hmm. So this might be like a purgatory they're in, and she goes to heaven or hell or whatever. Same happens with Casey Affleck Ghost at the end.
Yeah.
I also kind of felt a connection with that. There's like a weird spirit portal at the beginning where he chooses not to go in. I think that's kind of him wanting to stay with Rooney Mara even though she leaves.
His obsession, kind of. Also, it might be. You could see it almost as the house as well. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to leave the house even in death.
That was a through line when they were both alive.
Yeah. And, I think really the underlying theme of this is almost like an Interstellar kind of love transcends time.
Yeah, I felt a lot of Interstellar, like, without some of the more like bad stuff about Interstellar.
Yeah, kind of bending the rules
Yeah,
of everything.
and kind of weird characterization. I think this beats Interstellar for me. Just it keeps it simple. Interstellar is like trying to go in all these different directions and leave things behind.
Yeah.
It's just kind of clustered. Is the word
Yeah.
I'm looking for Interstellar.
But this movie's very, very grounded. It's a real life movie, and it feels almost realist in the sense that like so much of it is just watching Casey Affleck just watch life go on in the house.
The pie scene.
Exactly, the pie scene. You spend 7 minutes watching Rooney Mara eat a pie,
Yeah.
and like it. I mean, it's kind of weird to watch, but also it's really beautiful almost.
Kind of poetic.
Yeah.
As I said, a little comedic if you want to look at it in
Yeah,
that light.
sure.
And also, just going back to that pie scene, when I was first watching it, so I was kind of laughing when she sits on the ground and just starts eating pie.
Yeah.
And then after like a minute or so, I just look at the background. It's like, oh, he's watching her.
Yeah, I really like that, and even like when the focus isn't on like Casey Affleck and all these other scenes, like you can just see him like chilling in the back, and it's honestly kind of funny almost just seeing him Charlie Brown ghost costume.
Yeah. I also love how this movie kind of handles time. It felt very. Have you seen Synecdoche, New York?
I have not. I've always wanted to though.
Yeah, it's very similar to that movie where it kind of the time like speeds up and slows down depending on kind of the events.
Sure.
So like once he first dies and like he's first there, you get like the
Very
7 minutes of Rooney
Yeah.
Mara eating pie. But then you get that scene where she's like keeps walking out of the house day like
Yeah.
going really fast. You have the jumps to like the distant future with the futuristic skyscraper, and then jump to the past kind of at the end.
And it was really kind of commentary on like the movement of time and
Yeah.
how we experience life, kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of like he's a being outside of time.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
how he's able to go through all this, kind of see time this way.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was kind of... It did remind me a lot of Synecdoche, New York in that aspect.
Cool.
Yeah,
I definitely want to check that one out. But,
yeah, it's good. I just need to watch more Charlie Kaufman in general.
Oh,
but,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So where shall we go next, Henry?
The party scene.
The
That's
party
definitely one scene that has a lot of significance for the movie because
Yeah.
it's just like kind of explaining.
So I wasn't a huge fan of that scene just because it was so expository.
Yeah.
At first.
And it feels completely different than anything else in the movie.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's probably more dialogue in that one scene than the entirety of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But I remember that being jarring. And then kind of when I discovered this comedy aspect to the film, I kind of apply that to there, and it makes more sense to it for me. Where kind of, it's at a party, they're all really drunk. This guy's just spouting out, like, philosophical nonsense while drunk, and Casey Affleck Ghost is looking way too much into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of funny and tragic at the same time. Like, the guy's just, like, going, like just drunkenly, everything's gonna disappear, everything you work for is not gonna mean anything. Like,
I hate that man so much. He's such a jerk.
Yeah.
Who invited him to this party, honestly?
he just goes to someone, it's like, your kids are gonna die, your kids are gonna
Who's got kids here?
Like,
They're
it's ridiculous.
all gonna die.
But, like, I don't... It's that thing. I don't think you're supposed to take that scene seriously. I think that's just supposed to be Casey Affleck Ghost looking way too much into it.
Well, and like even the casting they had, like you can't take that guy seriously.
Yeah.
He's got overalls. He's got the classic balding like head and like a really kind of weird beard. It's hard to take him seriously just because.
Just a drunk man spewing out nonsense.
Yeah.
But I guess there are not many parties in that house, and like Casey Affleck goes to like, ooh, what's going on here? It's like, philosophical discussion. It's like, oh no, my life, even though
Yeah.
he's probably really drunk.
And even like kind of talking about how Casey Affleck honed in. Maybe that's kind of trying to say, because in all the other scenes like leading up to that, it was rapid fire, quick. So much is just like transpiring, except for these key moments. So maybe they're saying something about generally how life usually goes very fast, but there's key moments in our life where things kind of slow down, and you know. But
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the main through line of the film.
Yeah.
But I also like kind of going back to the time thing. Just when shocking kind of jump to the past after the skyscraper, which granted he's been kind of wandering the house for, I assume, decades.
Yeah.
Man, wouldn't that skyscraper just be so cool? It's like, oh man, look at all these new rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, he kind of jumps off, which is kind of interesting. I mean,
He's a ghost.
yeah.
What are you going to achieve?
And I guess that's the secret to time travel.
Falling very high.
Well, jumping off a cliff while dead.
Yeah.
That's the secret to time travel.
All I want to know is how quickly did this city how fast it expanded, because it was kind of like a rural area when Casey Affleck was living there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, bam, there's a skyscraper there.
When that happened, I was wondering if this took place like kind of in the past and that was an area just developing. But when we go back to the modern time at the end, you see like the iPhones and hear that jingle.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, and the buildings do look kind of Blade Runner-esque, like neon everywhere. So I guess that is the far future, and just everything's a city in the far future.
I guess so.
That might be it. And so I do like I think this movie only had a budget of like 100,000. I did like how that city looked for.
Oh,
even
yeah.
if it was a second, like 100,000, that's
pretty good.
Yeah. This does feel like a really low budget film in a good way.
It did, but it utilized its low budget very well.
Yeah, especially because this director, the last thing he did was like a big budget Disney movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he did Pete's Dragon before this, which I'm not a huge fan of that movie.
Yeah, no.
Like everyone loved it. Granted, I saw that movie on a really bad date, so maybe it was just the mindset.
Ooh,
but,
that'll always do it.
But no, I was just bored out of my mind during that movie. But I might go back to it just after watching Ghost Story, because it does seem like David Lowery is more of a auteur director. I can kind of see how that carries over in Pete's Dragon. But this is a weird film to follow. Something that kind of big budget and spectacle-ish.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that because there's a lot of innovation that you can gain from putting restraints on yourself. So it's interesting to see like how he made such a beautiful film out of such low budget.
Yeah. I really think I laugh at kind of that ghost costume and say that's my evidence for it being somewhat of a comedy, but it's just a really cool design.
It is.
Just kind of going back to Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
That's probably there before Charlie Brown. I just know that design from Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
And how like the eyes, they kind of have a fabric there to black them out.
Yeah. And I honestly think if they did like Force Ghost-esque, like Casey Affleck, that would ruin much of the movie.
Yeah.
Like I like that it's just blanket.
Yeah, the minimalistic design.
Yeah.
Like again, if you had Force Ghost Casey Affleck, he would just kind of be emoting, but like not speaking. I feel like that would just be really hokey.
Yeah.
Like this is hokey also, but it's hokey in a good way.
Yeah.
And I do really like that.
And it's not like too distracting. Like any scene that like the ghost is there, like he's there, but it's not like if there was a Casey Affleck Force Ghost blue like see-through in there every time he's on the screen, I'd be like, there he is.
Yeah.
But like when the pie scene, he's in the background, and like you might not even like notice initially.
Yeah, you might think it's a curtain out of the corner of your eye,
sure.
just a set design. No, it's Casey Affleck Ghost.
Yeah. I really hope for the 9th Star Wars, they take our advice here, and instead of having Force Ghosts, they just have Charlie Brown like blankets over there.
It's like, what's that? It like pulls over Skywalker. It's me. Spoilers for Last Jedi, but
oops,
everyone's seen it.
Whoops. Yeah. If you haven't, it's already been spoiled to you. So.
Yeah, there's no reason to go see it now.
Yeah,
none at all.
No.
But yeah.
One interesting thing that I really found was when I was doing some research after watching it, because I like the soundtrack so much, is that the song I Get Overwhelmed, the director had heard it, and he liked it so much that he wrote the song into the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I just find that really cool. And he did that for one of his previous films. Yeah. It was a song by the Shins, New Slang. Mm-hmm. He did the same thing there, so I really liked that.
I thought I heard the band that song came from one of the members was the guy who did the score for this.
Oh,
I think
I
that's
can-
what I heard from the commentary, that the guy who did the score did that song in his band. So that might be the same band. Or one of us is wrong.
yeah, I can look it up.
hmm
But I know for sure that David Lowery or like I don't know. Yeah, I'll just look it up right now. I'll figure it out. Regardless, I cannot stress enough how much I love the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It is so good. Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is in the band Dark Rooms.
Yep.
Oh, that's really cool. So maybe he was listening to the Dark Rooms
And hired
it's
that
like,
guy.
wow, this is really good. I'm gonna go get this guy.
Yeah.
Because he's done. Oh wait, hold on. He did Pete's Dragon as well. So
Okay.
I'm not really sure exactly.
So maybe he had band on his side, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, good song. Can we use it for the film?"
Yeah.
Or maybe it was written for the film.
There's some story behind it. I'll find it now.
Yeah. But yeah, the score was beautiful, especially since this movie, you could argue it's kind of a silent film. That's why that kind of exposition dump is kind of
Yeah.
jarring in that one scene. It's very quiet.
It is, and even like when there is music, it's generally there's not a moment where like it's in a really like triumphant, like powerful.
Yeah. It's not
music.
like Star Wars.
Yeah,
in that
there's
sense.
nothing like that. This is really simplistic,
Yeah.
minimalistic, and there's just like violins, or, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I hold on. Whoops, almost found it there. But yeah, like movie scores are a huge thing for me. I love them, and it really adds to a movie when they have like just a really, really good score. The music adds so much emotion to
Yeah.
a scene, and when they do it well, I can really tell. And I think what really makes a movie score stand out is when I go back and listen to it on its side. If
Yeah.
I can envision the scenes that the songs are played in.
Yeah.
Like every time I hear "Hole in the Wall,"
Yeah.
I envision Rooney Mara putting the note in the hole and then
Yeah.
getting in her car and driving away.
That was another scene I found kind of adding to the absurdist comedy when he finally is about to get the note and then the house
I know.
crashes down. that was a great scene. Yeah, I do like the ambiguous note. That's kind of, I guess that's kind of his meaning, that he's like, I need to remember Rooney Mara because that's kind of a theme, is kind of memory and forgetting.
Yeah.
And then he finally gets it, and that's what brings him to the afterlife. Yeah. That's kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if he's trying to make like a point about not like being so obsessive about certain things and like allowing to like let go
Yeah.
almost in a way, because they'll just weigh you down. And like Casey or Rooney Mara moved on, but
Yeah.
Casey Affleck stayed there. He couldn't leave.
couldn't leave. But I also like going back to the idea of this being a silent film. The new family that moves in kind of after Rooney Mara, but before the family, they were a Hispanic family, so they only spoke Spanish.
Spanish.
And it kind of adds to that silent vibe because there are no subtitles.
Yeah.
Only if you knew Spanish, you'd know what they were saying.
Yeah.
But you just kind of have to be kind of oblivious with Casey Affleck, which leads to that great poltergeist scene where he
Yeah,
just kind of freaks out.
Well, even like that just reminded me of one scene that kind of makes me think of this absurdist comedy is when the kids wake up and Casey Affleck is in there just watching them, and like he gets out his toy gun and like shoots at him.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cute. But even the talking about the beauty of the film, like the shot where it's just facing the ghost and you can see the lights like shine on his face and it's just red and blue, it flashes. I think just watching that, it's like, wow, it's just it's
Yeah.
very pretty. The movie, it's just a moving art.
Yeah.
Even like when scenes where like there's nothing really going on, it's just like I really like the way it looks.
Yeah, it's that. I think that adds to how it can get away with this really slower pace with 7 minutes of Rooney
Definitely.
Mara eating pie. It's
Yeah.
just all the shots are gorgeous.
Really, it really is.
Yeah. Especially just for such a low budget, this movie is just fascinating.
Honestly, yeah.
Like, for those of you who don't know, $100,000 is nothing for a movie. Like, a big blockbuster like Star Wars or something is usually around like 200 million. Like,
Yeah.
100,000.
That's absurd.
Yeah. And I guess he must have gotten Rooney Mara and Casey Affleck, since they're huge names. Casey Affleck just winning an Oscar just out of goodwill.
Yeah.
He's worked with both of them before. And I guess they must have done it for dirt cheap.
How much did does the movie make?
I think a few million.
A few billion.
No, a few billion.
Wow, the most successful movie of all
beat
time.
Avatar. No.
Yeah.
He really got a return on investment.
Yeah.
No, I think it got like, I want to say 2 million.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
How does this movie only get a 6.9 on IMDb?
I don't know. Yeah, this is pretty high on Rotten Tomatoes, but I guess IMDb, maybe some people like didn't entirely get it. I completely understand people who say they would hate this movie. This movie's not for everyone.
It really isn't, and like I've said, it's more of an art piece than like your traditional movie.
Yeah.
Almost, I mean, I don't know why, but like Silence keeps coming up to me. Where like, have you seen Silence?
Oh, I love that movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
like that's not a movie where you go in like I'm gonna be constantly entertained. I'm gonna love like all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Silence is a pain to watch, and that's what makes it so good. I love that movie, and like almost in a sense, like you go into Ghost Story, like I'm not gonna like immediately like constantly being like.
Yeah. It's not going
connected.
to be the Avengers.
Yes, like I have to go in with a completely different mindset than like normal, I guess.
I think that really works for this movie with like it's like has an 80-minute runtime.
Yeah.
Like sometimes movies like that, if they're going on for like 2.5, 3 hours, it can get kind of grating. For this, it's like a nice short 90 minutes. It's
Yeah.
like, so I'd say in that sense, you should probably watch it, like even if you don't like it. It's only 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty short. You can handle it. It's cute. I like how petite it is.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. It's adorable. It's kind of funny. It's kind of
It
tragic.
really is. It's just a really good movie. Mm-hmm. A movie that can be both serious, very emotionally pulling, and at the same time comedic.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I'm really kind of looking forward to Lowry's career. Like after watching Pete's Dragon and going, I know a lot of people like that movie. That movie was so boring, and not in a good way. Like the pie scene.
Yeah.
But I do want to see him kind of stick to these smaller indie films.
Yeah, definitely.
It kind of felt like with Pete's Dragon, he was more on a leash, and this was just him doing whatever he wanted with a small amount of money.
Oh, definitely. Definitely a passion project because it's something really unique, and like you can tell that. I mean, it's almost in the sense like a Blade Runner thing where it's just like there wasn't that much like overhead meddling in it. Like it's just a free range kind of feel.
Well, there was post-production meddling with Blade Runner, but
we
don't
but for
need
like
to get into that.
the most part because they knew like you can't like make Blade Runner 2049 like that did not do very well at the box office because of a lot of like it's not like your traditional action movie.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of like because Denise loves Blade Runner. He loved the original, so he really wanted to make something that was a true. I'm trying to think of successor, I guess.
Yeah.
And he really pushed for that and wouldn't allow anything other. That's kind of why Johan Johansson got cut because he didn't feel that he was making a soundtrack that was very.
I feel like
the original, but yeah.
I feel like I don't want to get into a discussion about 2049, but it kind of has a similar mentality to Ghost Story, which is just kind of doing whatever you want, except Blade Runner is on a much, much bigger scale than Ghost Story. And then...
Yeah. I had another very big topic I wanted to say, but now it has completely faded from my mind. Okay, no, here we go. Casey Affleck's character is not a good guy, I don't think.
No,
like
he's he's kind of stubborn. He's
Yeah.
a bit of a prick.
He is. Like, in all of his interactions that are depicted on with Rooney Mara, he's kind of just a prick.
Yeah.
He doesn't listen to her, and he's super stubborn. He won't leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could say that's kind of his character arc by being stuck in purgatory and kind of it's kind of like one of those cruel twists of fate where
Yeah.
it's like you never want to leave, you're stuck here for the rest of time. Just looping over and over again until you find that note.
The note.
The note. Yeah.
And then you fade away.
And then,
I really liked when there was 2 ghosts.
oh yeah.
That was good.
Mm-hmm.
But like even right off the bat, like he was just like playing his music and he just would not give her any kind of attention. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Again, I don't think we see quite enough of that relationship.
You don't.
If you were going to expand this film, which, like I mentioned before, I think it's a perfect runtime for what it's doing, I'd maybe add a little bit more to their relationship, because you can kind of speculate that he was a bit of a prick, but there's not a ton of concrete evidence with that.
There isn't, and that's just kind of what I'm picking up there, and you don't really see everything else that he does outside of that, but just kind of the main gist of it, that he won't leave, and then like the piano, where she comes in like, should we get a mover or what, and he just kind of tunes out. That's kind of just what I was getting. And like, there wasn't, Rooney Mara was like very affected by his death, obviously, but there wasn't like a single, like, obviously she moves on eventually.
And I mean, it might be a limitation of filmmaking, but she seems about the same age when she moved on. So she wasn't grieving for like decades or something.
Exactly. So I'm just kind of like speculating that maybe he wasn't the best, but yeah.
Let's see, where else do we want to go with this conversation?
His death scene, or like the car crash, I really like how it starts with just like the house and just pans over and you can see it's so calm. There's no music behind it. You can just hear the cicadas or whatever.
Yeah, the ambience.
Yeah. You can just feel the environment, and just almost as if time just stopped right then and there.
Yeah, and then we go to the hospital after that. I thought that was a cool scene when they revealed it. It's kind of the sheet that he was under in the morgue. He just kind of popped up, and I thought that was a really well acted scene where, I mean, it might be more Kuleshov effect than an acting job, but just kind of how you get his reaction to everything.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of dead, but he's not very emotional about it. He's just kind of trying to accept that he's dead. I thought that was really cool. And that is a thing I wanted to bring up, that the Kuleshov effect, right? I might be pronouncing that wrong. Yeah, I felt like, for those you don't know, that's when you take a shot of a person and then contrast it with something else, and it says something about the person, not from his actions, but from the editing.
Yeah.
Just kind of the design of the ghost, I feel like they use that a lot, and it makes the film very interpretive, so, like, you could interpret it as a tragedy, I could interpret it as kind of a really dark comedy.
Sure, yeah.
Just by kind of trying to tell what he's thinking all the time, since he can only communicate with us as a ghost.
And that was kind of building off like the whole like unable to communicate outside of these ghosts. Even then, it's literally just you have to use the subtitles. Watching it for the very first time, I did not have any like prior experiences to the film. I didn't watch the trailer. I just read the synopsis. I bought the movie and I just played it and I went straight into it. So I was really interested to see how like a ghost story, like what the ghost is, what he's going to do, how he interacts with the world. So it was really interesting to see how he actually went out into the world and experienced things. And I just thought that was really, really interesting. And it worked out well. I like the way they did with it. While he could have some power over the physical world now, for the most part, he was just kind of just there.
Granted, I was a little confused about the power he had in the world. I wasn't sure why he wasn't, like, taking a broken plate, carving into the wall. Hey, I'm still here.
You up, WID. He's just sending, like, chat messages.
On the wall.
Writing memes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was cool. And, like, kind of building off that, like, having no, like, prior, like, understanding how the movie was going to go. Even, like, the very first scene, I knew something was up when they were laying down, cuddling on the futon.
That's a really long shot.
It was. And they're like, what are those noises going on? I knew, like, immediately, like, that's going to come into play at some point. And, like, when she brought up the notes as well, I knew that was going to come back. But I knew, and, like, when he sits down on the piano, like, that was the noise, the beginning of the movie. I knew that had to play some kind of role in it. It was just cool. It was interesting. And I really like the type of movies that, like, leave hints of stuff and then they're further explained. Or you understand what I mean? Like, you see one scene and then later it's like...
Yeah. And once again, that is very Interstellar-y.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that happens in Interstellar. It's done with much more grace here.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly.
Oh no, the barcodes in the sand. It must mean something.
Christopher Nolan's A Ghost Story. 3-hour-long epic.
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese's A Ghost Story. I love that.
Yeah. He's getting revenge on whoever crashed his car.
Oh my god.
Starts the ghost mafia.
Yeah. He comes up from nothing and then he goes through a crisis.
Ever since I first died, I knew I wanted to be a ghost mobster.
Yeah.
So you said you kind of went into this movie blind. Did you know anything about, like, what type of movie it was, or you just saw Ghost Story, click on it?
I literally just saw A Ghost Story.
Okay.
I saw the poster for it.
Yeah, which has kind of
A Starry Night and A Ghost Story, and then along with the Charlie Brown ghost character. And I read the synopsis, and I was intrigued by it. But initially, I was kind of thrown off. I saw the Charlie Brown ghost story, so I didn't know like how kind of the movie would have felt. And so I just I actually put it off to the side. I went off and watched another movie. I think I watched Lady Bird instead. Very, very different movie.
I need to watch that at some point.
You do. It's quite a good one. But and then later, it kind of stuck with me, and I was like, it's such a cool concept, and the idea of like someone coming back and like watching, or lover. That sounds really creepy, actually, as I say that.
Yeah.
But
he's a ghost. What else you gotta do?
I'm true. Haunt people. But I literally just then one day I was like, yeah, why not? I'll watch it. It sounds cool. So I bought it, literally click play and watched it, start to finish.
Yeah, I think the day you told me that we were gonna do this for the show, it was on sale on iTunes for like $5, so I just bought it there.
Good.
And I got access to the commentary.
Nice.
Only watched that. I haven't watched the other special features yet. But that would be interesting because if I ever do films, it'd probably start off kind of this size.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Very small, just kind of intellectual films.
Yeah, yeah. Because it is a thinker. I was like thinking about the meaning of so many different things, and but yeah, that's where that philosophy major is going to come into play, Jacob.
Exactly. That's the idea behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the major negatives of the movie? What do you think that it didn't do well?
Major negatives? Kind of like I was saying before, this movie seems to be very interpretive, so I kind of talked about I had some negatives at the start, but I kind of looked at it from a different point of view and felt like it worked. So there are no, like, obvious negatives. The only thing maybe is that expository scene, even if I can look at that through a dark comedy light, it's still very jarring to the rest of the film. I feel like if you don't know what's going on, that pie scene is going to look absolutely ridiculous.
Oh yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to get at, the silence thing. Like, you can't. That scene, it's kind of like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
Why am I watching 7 minutes of Rooney Mara eating pie?
Yeah.
But like, if you look at it in a different light, and trying to get the meaning and the context and the feeling, the emotion behind it.
Yeah. And again, I kind of came around on both of them. More so the pie scene than the expository party scene.
Sure.
Yeah, I also think that party scene kind of breaks the silent film mood of it.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess that's my main complaint with the theme. This movie is just very quiet, and then that guy just kind of comes in and drunkenly talks about the themes of the film. And it's hilarious, and you can look at it from kind of Casey Affleck Ghost's point of view.
Yeah.
But just strict filmmaking wise, I don't think it entirely fits.
Yeah, that's understandable. I think it almost plays a good role in breaking up. I don't know, because it adds like a, I don't know, it throws something different in there, and it almost feels like the director wanted to make like a point on life and like human experience, and he just kind of wrote it into the film. But I do think it plays a good role in it, and it does. If you listen to what he's saying, it makes sense.
Yeah.
In it. But yeah, the whole idea that like your work and like the most of the stuff you do in life is just gonna be meaningless, and there's a tiny few select things that will carry on throughout history, but in the end, it's all gonna be pointless.
Yep.
But
then we'll loop around, and you'll be able to find that note.
exactly.
What do you think of? I think I was gonna go there, but then I talked about the futuristic setting.
Sure.
Kind of him. What was your reaction to him jumping in the past?
It is quite literally jumping into the past. It was quite jarring, honestly, and I was kind of confused, quizzical initially. Like, what is he doing? Like, was he? I thought, trying to like understand like the thought process behind Casey Affleck. Like, what is he trying to achieve here? And like, is he just trying, like, he doesn't know that like this note is what's holding him back, and like he needs to know what that is. So does he understand that, like, oh, ghosts just have this power? You fall from a height. I don't know. It was very strange. And then it's just like, whoop, and then you're back in the past.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I think it's still pretty cool though.
Yeah. I feel like kind of going back to the time thing. You could almost read it like kind of a. Have you read Watchmen?
No, I have
Okay.
not.
So I was gonna say Dr. Manhattan-esque. But basically kind of seeing the past, present, and future all at once.
Oh,
so
okay.
maybe that's not why he's as shocked when he goes back to the past. And so I think that could be a really interesting concept and then once he goes full circle, that's when he finds the note, and
Yeah, that'd be
that's when
cool.
that's when he leaves. Although when he kind of went back to the past or went back to the past and caught up to modern day, and he sees his ghost from earlier.
Yeah.
I was kind of joking in my head, it's like, how long does this cycle last? Is there like the guy dies for the 80th time and he just sees 80
constantly
incarnations?
over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But even like having the two ghosts there almost breaks the time stream in a sense, because the very first Casey Affleck ghost did not see the second ghost.
I feel like even in the timeline with two ghosts, it's the same one, but it's kind of like how the people can't see the ghost.
Sure.
The ghost can't see
Ghost
squared.
Ghost Prime can't see,
Ghost Prime can't see ghost squared.
Yeah. That's actually kind of funny. Wow, and there's layers to this. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had another point I was going to bring up. Wow. Can't remember. Let me see if I can jog my memory about it. Well. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought they were almost going to try to go in a completely different direction once, so the initial time you meet the other ghost in the house, and forgot exactly what the dialogue is like, but the other ghost says, I forgot who I'm waiting for. I don't know who they are anymore. And at that point, I thought that how the movie was going to go is it's going to be Casey Affleck's ghost trying to hold on to a depleting memory of his previous life. Kind of that idea. And I thought that's almost even more sad that, like, you don't even remember, like, the things that matter to you before. And
it's kind of reverse Coco if you got around to seeing that.
I have not yet.
Yeah, the idea behind that is that the people in the real world have to remember you for you to stay alive in the ghost world.
Oh, wow. That's actually a super interesting concept, and I've thought about that.
I feel philosophy. Like it's kind of the reverse here, where you have to remember your earthly attachments to stay in the afterlife on Earth.
Wow. We're all searching for that note.
Yep.
In the hole in the wall.
Yep. Which I was kind of joking, because it's intentionally vague in the commentary. The director was, people were asking him, like, what was in the note? And he says, only Rooney Mara knows. So it's like, what if it's just, like, insulting Casey Affleck?
Okay.
Like, screw you, Casey Affleck.
Honestly.
Maybe that was in the note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rey is Luke's daughter.
Rey is Luke's daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of found it odd that when he saw the note going in, like, he didn't immediately just kind of
flock to it.
Yeah, just stand there, and because he can kind of interact with the real world, so kind of just nipping at it until he gets it.
I mean, he was throwing, like, plates and knocking over picture frames and stuff like that.
Oh, you can just take a plate, like, crash it, and just
man.
gnawing at it.
But maybe that's even, like, just gnawing at it was he was trying to hold on to the world, not even just, like, the note. Mm-hmm. He was just, like, slowly making his way to there.
Yep. While terrorizing some kids.
Oh, of course, yeah, no.
I mean, granted, if I was dead and I had to live in a house for an eternity, and, like, some kids moved in, I'd definitely be scaring them.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. You gotta find some way to entertain yourself as a ghost.
And they're little enough, you can, like, just mess with them until... and when the parents come, you just stop everything.
Yeah. Hey, little punks. I used to live here.
Yeah.
Treat this house with some respect.
Yeah. And maybe that's what Casey Affleck Ghost was doing in that movie.
Exactly. Because he loved that house. He had a real big connection to it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Where else should we go?
One thing about the song, again, I get overwhelmed, is I didn't understand. I initially was thinking about, like, if it was, like, written for the movie, because the lyrics really, I mean, it's perfect. Like, it literally is about the movie. The whole, like, is my lover there? Are we breaking up?
I feel like kind of, because I feel like it was written before, and kind of maybe that helped write some of the script. It's like, hey, this is the song, let's take some of these ideas and put it into this ghost movie I'm working on.
And I do think, because the album that it comes off of was released in 2016, if I believe.
Okay, then it definitely came out. During production, probably.
Yeah.
He was probably working on this late 2016, because this was definitely less than a 30-day shoot. On just how small scale this was.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm reading it now, and Daniel Hart says that he wrote I Get Overwhelmed. That was the very first thing. And then maybe... Wait, okay. Okay. Now, okay, this is making sense. He just says that song inspired the entire score for it. And even, like, okay, I Get Overwhelmed, it is a very, like, ethereal kind of ghostly, floaty pop song.
Yeah.
And it works very well.
Yeah. It's not the type of music I'd normally listen to, but I think it really works for the context of the film.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said before, the lyrics are very, very relevant to the underlying story and the themes. and it's another emotionally pulling, and yeah. Even like the Latin, the one Latin song, when the children are introduced.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember that? Even that's like really well done.
Yeah, all the music is wonderful.
Yeah.
I first watched the movie with the subtitles on just because Rooney Mara and Casey Affleck were kind of mumbling a little bit, and I usually need to listen for it a few times before I know what they're saying.
I think that was almost intentional.
Yeah, it was. And that kind of reminded me because Casey Affleck does a similar thing in Manchester by the Sea. But anyway, the subtitles. I was going through them, and they put in musical beats in the score in the subtitles, which I don't normally see unless it's like the closed captioning subtitles.
Sure. Yeah, no, I do that too as well, at least in my initial run. But even like what I was trying to say, like the whole mumbling, very intentional, is like the scene where after Rooney Mara kisses the new guy, and Casey Affleck starts to like freak out. Like I think they intentionally mumbled it because like his emotion and rage kind of just took over, and he wasn't like experiencing it properly or anything like that.
Yep. Let's see, we got about 10 more minutes. We can probably fit in one more topic to discuss.
Well, Jacob, it's your very first show, so why not just give a quick overview of yourself?
Quick overview. So kind of just final thoughts on the film?
Well, yeah, sure. Well, we can finish up final thoughts. I was saying more like, whatever. Let's just do final thoughts.
Okay, so final thoughts. Again, I think this is a great film. Kind of talking about more, I kind of discovered that interpretation theme where I feel like you can interpret this however you want it to. And that's not a bad way. I feel like that's very intentional, even if I feel Lowery does have his own interpretation of it. I feel like this more than anything else kind of fits that. Like, it just kind of, however you feel about the film is kind of what the film is. I thought that was very unique. I liked that a lot.
Really cool. You can get something different out of it for every person. Like you were even saying, like you felt a very absurdist comedy out of it. And I don't know. I mean, I definitely felt that, and like it's a very serious film, but at the same time, there's definitely like some things that stand out, and it's like, yes, this wasn't like specifically like super super serious. Like even like the initial. How I took it is the pathway to heaven, where like the gate opens, and like even then, and the costume design and all that. But I still felt like it was I got more of the emotional tragedy aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to say about it, or?
Just go watch it. I love it. It's a moving piece of art on multiple different levels. You can get a lot out of it, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, kind of going for the show right now. How this is going to work each week is I'm going to have a guest each week. I'm going to ask them what movie we watch and announce it here. So next week, me and my co-host Eric will. Eric's not the one with me. Eric's coming next week.
My name's Henry.
Yeah. We're going to do Whiplash, and so that will be a fun discussion, and Henry here might join us.
I might. Whiplash is another favorite movie of mine, so I might have to come in, share some thoughts about it. I love talking about films, and yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I think it's time to close out.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed our discussion.
Yep.
I sure did.
Yep. This is a lot of fun. I've been meaning to do a film podcast for a while, so hopefully it works out.
That's right. Tune in next week, 3 to 4.
Yep. Farewell, buddy.